It's Friday, Future Fridays. In this video, I am going to tell you guys about attachment theory and how it can help you have healthier relationships with your significant other, whomever that may be. This is Launch Industries Now. And welcome back. So in this 2018 world, we are all having different things going on in relationships. Some of us are married, some of us have a significant other, some of us are dating. Everybody is in different places in their relationships. Well, I wrote a column about a year ago on Medium about something called attachment theory. And if you haven't heard of attachment theory, you should read up on attachment theory, because attachment theory used to be called push-pull. What the hell does push-pull mean? Nobody knows what push-pull means. Nobody knows all these games. People are texting each other like, what does this text mean? And what does that text mean? And what is he saying? And what is she saying? And I don't know what to do. And do I do this? Do I do that? All of that becomes noise when you get clarity on what attachment theory is. And what attachment theory is it is your ability to understand yourself and how you attach to other people. Now, it's easy for people to mix up attachment with other forms of themselves, and I'm going to explain that in a second. But first of all, what you need to know is love and connection is a spectrum. And imagine two sides, and there's people who are in secure, good relationships are towards the middle. So this is healthy in here. People who are having problems in their relationships are on two other ends of the spectrum. They're on two far ends. The people on the two far ends are two different types. We have the anxious type on one end and the avoidant type on the other. And this is all explained in the book Attached. I'm going to add my own spin on it as well, but you should read Attached. Anyway, you've got the anxious on one end and the avoidance on the other, and we've got secures in the middle in healthy relationships. So knowing that, you should know that there's 4 types of attachment in society. There's 4 different kind of groups of how people attach. And basically what the 4 are is there's secure. That's one. That's about half the public. They can attach to people. They can connect, and their central nervous system is calm. They're able to attach healthy. They don't play games. They're cool, okay with intimacy. They're good with their emotions. They can attach in a healthy way. That's one. Those are the secure attachment type. Those are the people here in the middle. They can connect and they can attach. Attachment style 2 is avoidant. That's the one end of the spectrum. Those people aren't comfortable with attaching. They tend to deactivate relationships. They tend to avoid. When things get uncomfortable, they tend to close off or play games or do anything to kind of push the partner away. That's the avoidant type. The third is the anxious, otherwise known as preoccupied type. That type is overly wanting intimacy. They come on really strong, and they tend to be anxious and need that connection, overly need that connection, and they're on the far other end. So we have anxious and we have avoidant, and we have all these people in between on the spectrum leading closer and closer into secure. And you must know that people move around on the spectrum. Generally, you stay inside your attachment type, but people can move around within the spectrum. And the goal is the most healthy relationships are these secure relationships. That's what you're striving for. Now, there is a 4th group. So far we've done secure, half the public. The other half is anxious as a third of it, avoidance a third of it, and the other third is this disorganized type. The disorganized type displays both ends. Sometimes they go way avoidant and sometimes they go way anxious, and they use both strategies to deactivate the relationship. This is all within your subconscious, keep in mind. This is subconscious stuff. So you've got avoidant, anxious, you've got disorganized, who will go one end to the others. It's inconsistent. Sometimes they'll act anxious, sometimes they'll act avoidant, sometimes they'll even act secure. They really move about. Those people all over the place. The way I believe it's broken up from my observation in dating is half the public secure, roughly. And then the other half, I would divide that into like thirds. I would say anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. They're 3 different ones are all kind of there. There's some debate. There's been studies. They're weighing that down. Different experts will say different things. I'm no expert, by the way. This is from my own observation. But it's what I've learned based on a lot of reading, a lot of observing, and a lot of following it. So you've got secures, half the public. You've got avoidance. You've got anxious, and you've got the disorganized going back and forth. So 4 different attachment types. Now the irony of the whole thing is anxious and avoidant types tend to go for each other. You know those couples where they're always fighting, yet they love each other? Like they're always fighting about something. She's on him about all this stuff, or he's on to her, and he's avoiding, or she's avoiding. They see, because of what happens subconsciously to them in the past, and it's usually an upbringing nurture thing, that's manifesting in their relationships. So they see each other as being healthy because of their background, because of their upbringing, when really it's a psychological thing. Which brings us towards the golden age, which we're slowly realizing our problems are psychological, which I talked about in another video. But it's a psychological thing that needs to be worked through to get more towards secure. Anybody can do it. It takes a lot of self-work. You can change attachment styles. You can always, with some work, be able to move towards healthy relationships. But ultimately, it comes down to what's called attachment theory. So check out Attached, Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller. Some of the stuff I talked about in this video is kind of offsprings of it. But what they really started, it had been mentioned before the book, but not really gone into. They really started the snowball rolling of all the talk now and the debate about attachment theory. But it really does explain push-pull well. So when you've heard push-pull and all that, and the games and all that, there's reason that's happening. And if you're doing it, to solve that, you have to do some work on yourself. You need to talk to a therapist. You need to talk to an expert on this who can legitimately help you work through what you need to work through. And that is attachment theory. You will also see these characters in movies, by the way. Anxious and avoidance make the best movie characters. Just kind of a bonus here. A great anxious type, Great Gatsby, Jay Gatsby, was anxious. He needed her. He wanted her so bad. Daisy Buchanan, he really couldn't resist, and she was avoidant. She was avoiding him. Jerry Maguire, classic avoidant. Remember that scene where he's in the office and they're all like, he just can't deal with intimacy. That became the "you complete me" thing, which is a whole other topic, but Jerry Maguire was classic avoidant. And if you look at movies through the years, all the great characters were anxious or avoidant. That's not necessarily a good thing, though. It's just, they do make good movie characters. Anyway, one other thing is, as time goes by, the dating pool, secures tend to match up. So statistically, more anxious, avoidant, and disorganized types, as time goes by, get left in the dating pool because secures match up quicker than the other ones do. So if you are one of these insecure attachment types, you have to do some work on yourself, as I said. And also, one thing to know about it is insecure does not mean your whole being. And that's where this relates to science, to people in physics and people, they mix up what acceleration and velocity and speed are. What do those mean? Well, attachment is just a part of you. So if you're in an insecure attachment, it's just how you attach to people. It has nothing to do with you as an overall person. You can be a secure person and have an insecure attachment you need to work through. So it doesn't characterize their whole being. That's my point there. It's easy to mix up. Anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in. This was Attachment Theory. I'm Geoff Pilkington. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like below or subscribe to my YouTube channel, Launch Industries. Thank you everyone for being here and have a wonderful afternoon. We are out.